Just our common sense, everyday perception of the Earth, it is flat as far as we can tell. It is motionless as far as we can tell. And everything in the sky is revolving around us as far as we can tell. If nobody told us otherwise, we'd logically assume that the Earth was flat, motionless, with everything in the sky revolving around us. And you can prove that this is the case as well, for instance, with the horizon. As you rise up, no matter how high you go on the top of Mount Everest, or if you go in a balloon higher and higher, we've gotten independent balloons have gone up with cameras, the horizon remains flat all the way around and rises to the eye of the camera all the way up, totally flat, and rises to the eye of the observer. So that's one proof. Now, if the Earth were a ball, no matter how big, the horizon is said to be the curvature of the ball.
If you were to go to NASA, it's all fraud, it's all fake. Pretty much everything NASA puts out is fraudulent. There are no images of Earth from space. Put an end to this topic once and for all, turn the Hubble round and show us Earth in real time, but they will not do it. They can't do it. It doesn't exist. Including the one they called the Big Blue Marble, which was released in 2002, I think. Zoom into it with Photoshop, you'll see where they've used the clone tool in Photoshop to take a picture of one of the clouds and stamp it in various places around the picture. They got lazy.
If the Earth is 25,000 miles in circumference, there must exist a curvature drop of 8 inches times the mile when you square the mile. 1 mile means there should be an 8-inch curvature drop. 2 miles, 2 times 2 times 8 is 32. That's 32-inch drop. 3 miles would be a 72-inch drop. And this would exponentially continue. Here's the longest bridge in the world, the Danyang Kongchon Grand Bridge in China. 102.4 miles long. There should exist nearly 7,000 feet of curvature drop in that bridge. 7,000 foot curvature drop. Do you see it? It ain't there. Look at the horizon. It's flat.
You can see in that dive shot that the inside camera, the horizon is completely flat. Then it goes to the outside, and you got a huge curve. But when you're looking at some of the amateur balloon footage, some of it's lens corrected and it's completely flat. And others, like the GoPro stuff, the horizon will fluctuate as the camera spins and tilts. The horizon will go convex and concave. A lens effect. It's obviously not the horizon shifting every 2 seconds as the camera jumps. And when it's still, you can see all the way up, totally flat. NASA is essentially Hollywood, and all the images that you think you've seen of a spinning ball Earth are faked. And all the amateur balloon and rocket footage that we've sent up there shows a flat horizon that rises all the way up. And that's impossible on a ball.
Humans, for the most part, don't have a clue. They don't want one or need one either. They're happy. They think they have a good bead on things.
Well, why the big secret? People are smart. They can handle it.
The person is smart. People are dumb, panicky, dangerous animals, and you know it. 1,500 years ago, everybody knew the Earth was the center of the
instance is always completely flat, and you don't feel any motion. So if you were just born today and looked out, you wouldn't assume that you're standing on a spinning ball. You'd assume that you were on a flat, motionless plane. So to assume that we are on a spinning ball is actually contrary to our common sense and our everyday experience. And there's also experiments that have been done to test whether we're on a spinning ball or not.
My question was, why, if it's a flat Earth, why couldn't you stand on the coast of California with a telescope and see Japan or Hawaii or something? And I think you know the answer to that. I'll let you answer that.
Yeah. You can't see an unlimited distance. The lowest layer is the densest and not transparent. So if you imagine like a hot, humid day, the haze over a road, all telescopes will eventually blur out in that same kind of way due to the air. So no, you can't see an infinite distance.
Is the Earth flat or round? It's round. Okay, now let's see. How do we go about proving that? Go to the seashore. Go to a seashore.
Watch as ships sail away. They don't disappear all at once. No, first, the bottom will disappear. See, the bottom of the ship is gone. Now we can see midway up, and then the whole thing disappears. Now, ships came back. They didn't fall off the table. So people realized that the world is curved. I mean, it's a big curve, but it's curved. So, the process of testing claims, the world is flat, the world is round, is what we call science. Now, if you have a claim that can't be tested, that's what we call pseudoscience. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof.
Boats don't disappear over the curvature of the horizon. Boats disappear due to perspective. All you have to do is go to the beach, watch a boat disappear from your eye, and then whip out your telescope, your binoculars, or your high-powered zoom on your camera, and you can pull the entire boat right back into view. Whole mass and all. Yeah, that's right. You think the boat disappeared? Just whip out your telescope, your binoculars, or your zoom camera. You bring the entire boat back into view, completely debunking everything Coy just told you. And here's my video proof.
Extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof.
Imagine that. You can debunk the curvature of the Earth yourself with just a simple zoom on your camera. Bye-bye, little boat.
The flat Earth? Well, that didn't stand up to tests. The round Earth did.
And you guys, come on. Everybody watches newscasts. You all use mobile phones. You all see airplanes fly around. You all go to see Ed Sheeran in concert one day in London, another day in Melbourne, Australia. This all depends on our fundamental understanding of the size of the Earth and its shape with extraordinary precision.
What the fuck did you just say?
The way we teach science is you're just some empty vessel and we pour the science into you and then you regurgitate it on an exam. Because Earth, we know it spins once a day, yes.
Off to a great start.
So you spin, when you spin pizza dough, it kind of flattens out. Yeah. Gets wider in the middle. And so Earth, throughout its life, even when it formed, it was spinning. And it got a little wider at the equator than it does at the pole. Not only that, it's slightly wider below the equator than above the equator.
A little chubbier.
Yeah. Chubby's a good way. It's like pear-shaped.
Yeah.
So, it turns out the pear-shapedness is bigger than the height of Mount Everest above sea level. Well, let me just so you understand. We've been fed a lie our entire, I want to call it a lie. We've been fed.
It's a point of view thing, I think.
Earth has been misrepresented to us by
science.
Pear-shaped.
Science!
So they're all trying to figure out, is the universe spinning around us or are we spinning around the universe? They tell you We don't know shit. We're looking at a bunch of lights in the goddamn sky. You're gonna tell me that that light and that light that's 100 trillion light years away? How the fuck did you figure that out? And you learn.
Well, don't they have an explanation for that shit?
No, exactly. That's what what you just said right now. What you just said now is what everyone's natural reaction. Because anytime someone says anything about space, you automatically think someone figured it out. You don't know the guy's name. You don't know the name of the experiment. You didn't look into it yourself. You just think when someone tells you, how far is the Earth from the sun? They'll say, 93 million miles away. Like you just, everybody relies on someone figured that out and someone double checked it. You're going on what you read. And right now, cosmology, they don't know what the fuck to do. You know what they found out? The cosmic microwave background shows that all the galaxies are on shelves lined up to us. That we're at the fucking center. They don't know what to think about. Yeah, there's a lot of controversy going on about it.
You should see the stars do all sorts of strange motions, but you don't. You only see them make these perfect circles. That tells me that it's the stars that are moving, not the Earth.
The Copernicus principle, the one that we live by, is that we're insignificant, we mean nothing. We're a speck in the universe. That's the heliocentric model, that we go around the sun. The geocentric model means that everything goes around us. That's what this is in the Bible. That's what the first astronomers were saying. Ptolemy was the first one to say, yeah, we are the center. You can tell based on these observations, everything's revolving around us.
Earth is the center of the universe, and we stand still, and the universe spins around us.
You know what? They've lied so much. NASA's lied so goddamn much that I don't believe shit
I see. They've got that satellite image of that frozen moon. What's that frozen moon?
Oh, let me see if that's CGI. Find that They got a picture of a frozen fucking moon? I guarantee you it's CGI. No way they could take a picture.
The heliocentric model is in trouble. Watch as the sunlight shrinks and follows the sun. It's definitely a locally illuminating sun, not far away, not very big, and definitely not 93 million miles away.
There's a place in Bolivia called Salar del Uyuni, which is a salt flat. It's literally 100 miles wide one way and 80 miles across. And it's perfectly flat. And when it rains, literally you get an inch of water and it looks like a perfect mirror. Now, how does that happen on a sphere? Yeah, it shows you that, if you're one end of this salt flat, you can see perfectly clearly the other end 100 miles away. So it's just showing you that, the Earth is flat, and without the effect of the waves in the sea, you'll be able to see a whole lot further. Took a picture across the Great Lakes from Michigan and was able to see, I believe it's Chicago, which he shouldn't have been able to see. And the television station basically said it was a mirage.
I found this photo, Randmere State Park. This is from Joshua Nowicki, and what you're seeing here is a mirage. We typically would not be able to see this from the Lake Michigan shore. We talked about this last night. Conditions are right on the lake that we're actually seeing a mirage of the Chicago skyline.
Warning, bullshit alert.
very interesting here. Here's what's happening. This is a good example of a superior mirage. So Joshua was on the Lake Michigan shore. He was looking towards the west, and Chicago's beyond the horizon. Should not be able to see it. However, with the right conditions, we have an inversion. We have cold air near the cold lake water and some relatively warmer air above it. This will bend the image of that skyline back towards the viewer. And so typically we would not be able to see this. This image would be viewable from much, much higher in the sky.
They always say it's a mirage, but for a mirage to happen, you have to have very specific atmospheric conditions. It's not a mirage, it's simply that you're looking across a plane.
Now, how come in all these ball pictures, man, you can see all the continents pretty much, and there's just a little bit of clouds here and there. Man, it's like some of these pictures, like there's some where they show the Earth at night and you can see all the lights and stuff. It's like, you're telling me the entire continent didn't have clouds? The entire fucking continent, like you can see Africa and all these lights and all this stuff, like, if you turn on your porch.
And they'll look at you like you're crazy. But really?
One thing I really want your generation to embrace is that the Earth is a closed system. We cannot leave the Earth. There's no place to go.
Wildlife preserve 1,000 miles square, all people, all human beings would do is just be knocking on the fence constantly, going, why is this fence here? Who built the fence? Why are we in here? And so on and so on.
Why do you think that Truman has never come close to discovering the true nature of his world until now?
We accept the reality of the world with which we're presented.
Earth, 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 yep, 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 Earth, Earth, yep, 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 yep. Earth!
If you start here, and you go around long enough in the same direction, you wind up in the place you started from. Yes, Thomas?
Why don't we fall off when we walk underneath, Miss Sarah?
Because of a force called gravity.
What does gravity look like?
Gravity is something we can't see, but we know it's a great invisible force that keeps us all here on Earth. It's a natural force that keeps us all from flying off into space.
We were always told that the world is flat.
You were told right. Don't listen to her. I've been patient with you, Sarah. Lord knows I've been patient. But now your words have revealed you.
The law of gravity was discovered by Sir Isaac Newton in 1687. That's almost 200 years ago, Uncle Evan.
But there is only one law. The law of God.
What is gravity?
You have no idea. Okay, next question.
Wow.
No, here's the difference. We can describe gravity. Okay. We can say what it does to other things. We can measure it, predict with it. But when you start asking, like, what it is, I don't know. Einstein, in an Einsteinian answer, we would say gravity is the curvature of space and time. And objects will follow the curvature of space-time, and we interpret that as a force of gravity. That's probably the best answer I can give to a what is gravity question, or why is there gravity. That's the best I can do there. I think that's a good start.
The world is round.
What?
You know how everybody believes the world is flat, like a pancake? Well, they're all wrong. The world is actually round, like an orange.
The world is an orange. And?
And Well, that's it. It's a great idea. It's one of my best ones.
Yeah, but what kind of orange? Is it a navel or a juicer? What?
Look, just sleep on it. In the morning, the idea will come to you again, and you won't even remember where you got it. Get it?
Got it.
Good. I must say, I really thought you'd catch on to this a little quicker, Copernicus.
What? My name's not Copernicus. I'm Charlene Sinclair.
You're not Copernicus? This isn't 16th century Poland? Oh boy, I screwed up.
How do you brainwash? You repeat the same thing over and over again. You know, if somebody's resisting the concept, if you keep fucking repeating it, they'll incorporate it in their brain. Since you were a kid, you've seen this image. But you've never seen it from that point of view. But your brain has three-dimensionalized. Oh yeah, that's the Earth. How? Through repetition.
Well, let's just all get on our hands and knees and wait for a scientist or an astronaut to come along, or Neil deGrasse Tyson to come along and bestow upon us their knowledge.
Now, as you can see, this is the evolution meter, and I've put God, the creator of everything, on the right side, and evolution on the left. I won't change my mind, because I don't have to, because I'm an American. I'm dug in, and I'll never change.
Mac, look, you're wasting our time. You're not going to get us to not believe in evolution.
And why is that?
Because the smartest scientists in the entire world all agree that it's real.
I'm glad you brought that up. Mr. Reynolds, these were all the smartest scientists. Only problem is, they kept being wrong!
Oh, this is insane, you fool!
I'm a fool because I have more faith in the saints that wrote the Bible?
Yeah, because you just read the words of a bunch of guys that you never met, and you just take it on faith that everything they wrote was true.
And what makes you think what your scientists are writing is any more truer than my saints?
Because there are volumes of proven data, numbers, figures.
Have you poured through the data yourself? The numbers, the figures?
Well, no. No.
Oh, interesting. So let me get this straight, Mr. Reynolds. You get your information from a book written by men you've never met, and you take their words as truth based on a willingness to believe, a desire to accept, a leap of, dare I say it, faith?
Come on. Look, I mean, I don't even know how I'm supposed to respond to that. Come on.
I rest my case.
Matter tells space how to curve. Space tell. Did I get that right?
The science community is ignoring a lot of the things that we're looking at, and so normal people are going out and doing experiments. And one of the experiments has turned up an amazing fact that we've not been told, and it destroys the whole idea of this heliocentric system, and that is the moon. Now you can actually measure the temperature of the moonlight next to the temperature of the shade of the moonlight, and you'll find the moonlight is colder than the shade, the opposite from the sun. So the moon is throwing out its own light, and that light is the opposite from the sun. Now, that tells you that it's not reflecting the sun's light. It's producing its own, and its light is different from the sun's. So, the scientific community have not told us this, because they won't tell us this, because it destroys this idea that the sun is lighting up the moon.
Everyone knows, if you're in sunlight, it's colder in the shade, right? So if it's 100 degrees in the sun, it's 90 degrees in the shade. You go to the moonlight, especially in a full moon, especially if it's high in the sky, the moon is its own independent object. It is not reflecting the sun rays. The sun is its own object. Also, about the same size, which is, again, coincidentally, why the moon fits so perfectly in front of the sun during an eclipse. We always thought it was coincidence that even though it was 400 times farther away, that it was also exactly 400 times less diameter, which is why it fits. And the other weird thing about the moon, which everyone thinks, it's just a coincidence, is that we never see the other side of it. It's constantly perfectly rotating, so we only see one side of the moon. Exactly one side. It's not like we have a quarter of a degree every 5 years or half a degree here and there. It's always the same side. There are no coincidences when it comes to this system. It was deliberately built, but I think it was deliberately built to be detected And I think we were naturally supposed to figure this thing out maybe as late as the 1970s, but the government figured it out first, and they have been spending a heck of a lot of money trying to keep it a secret.
When I look at the people who signed the Antarctic Treaty, and all the nations that were down there doing whatever they were doing signed a treaty, and I believe it was 1958 or somewhere thereabouts, saying, nope, nobody can stake a claim to Antarctica, and if you're going to go down there, you can only go down there for scientific reasons under carefully restricted guidance, but it's not a free-for-all. Nobody can just, hey, I'm going to go check out Antarctica and do a high jump of my own. No, can't do it.
It's the only treaty that's all these countries have signed and never broken and completely agreed on. It's the only one. What treaty is there that everybody's agreed on? We're being kept away from it for a reason. They have some scientific bases there, and literally it's controlled by the military because they don't want you finding out what's beyond.
During 3 voyages lasting 3 years and 8 days, Captain Cook and crew sailed a total of 60,000 miles along the Antarctic coastline, never once finding an inlet or path through or beyond the massive glacial wall. So the other question is, well, how come ships don't go off the sea if it's flat? How come ships don't fall off the edge? Well, here's why you don't fall off the edge. There's a 200 to 300 foot high wall that is the border that Scripture says is keeping everything in. Nothing's going past that.
Because they don't want you finding out what's beyond.
Personally, I think the unconquered south face is the only one worth scaling. It's a 20,000-foot sheer wall of ice. But that's never stopped me before. Risk? Of course I'm aware of the risks.
When you go onto the plane tracking software, you'll see hundreds and hundreds of flights over the northern hemisphere, and you can track those flights from beginning to end. When you look at any flight in the southern hemisphere, what you'll find is the flight takes off and disappears off the tracking.
And that only leaves why. Why have they done this? What's the point of this grand deception? I think Eric Dubay explains it best.
People are always asking, why do they do this? Other than the obvious profit margin motive, NASA being the biggest black budget black hole in existence, sucking in over $30 billion taxpayer money for the fake moon landings alone. Nowadays, hundreds of billions of dollars, and not just NASA, but RASA and all the other fake space organizations around the world giving CGI images for hundreds of billions of dollars.
You want to put something in context. If you want to do something with $3.5 trillion, you can do whatever you want. Whatever you judge to be important to the profile of the nation that you are trying to build and to sustain.
So by surreptitiously indoctrinating us into their scientific materialist sun worship, not only do we lose faith in anything beyond the material, we gain absolute faith in materiality, superficiality, status, selfishness, hedonism, and consumerism. If there's no God and everyone's just an accident, then all that really matters is me, me, me. So they've turned Madonna, the mother of God, into the material girl living in a material world.
It's all about making us feel nothing, so that we can be used. If everybody realised how special we all are, how unique every single life is, then this whole world would change overnight. We wouldn't allow ourselves to be used by this cabal.
I start from the supposition that the world is topsy-turvy, that things are all wrong, that the wrong people are in jail, and the wrong people are out of jail, that the wrong people are in power, that the wealth is distributed in this country and the world in such a way as not simply to require small reform, but to require a drastic reallocation of wealth. All we have to do is think about the state of the world today and realize that things are all upside down. Now, if you don't think, if you just listen to TV and read scholarly things, you actually begin to think that things are not so bad, or that just little things are wrong. But you have to get a little detached and then come back and look at the world, and you are horrified. Now, as soon as you say the topic is civil disobedience, you're saying our problem is civil disobedience. That is not our problem. Our problem is civil obedience.
I think all our society is run by insane people for insane objectives. And I think that's what I sussed when I was 16 and 12 way down the line. But I expressed it differently all through my life. It's the same thing I'm expressing all the time, but now I can put it into that sentence that I think we're being run by maniacs for maniacal ends, If anybody can put on paper what our government and the American government, etc., and the Russian, Chinese, what they are actually trying to do, and what they think they're doing, I'd be very pleased to know what they think they're doing. I think they're all insane. But I'm liable to be put away as insane for expressing that. That's what's insane about it.